The mystery of old American coffee shops. You ever notice how old coffee shops used to smell different? Not just the scent of roasted beans. No, it was something deeper. A mix of aged wood, newspaper ink, a touch of cigarette smoke if you go far back enough, and always, always fresh coffee. Real coffee. None of that half-syrup, half-foam business you see nowadays. My name's Walter. I'm 78, retired postman. And I've had my share of coffee in my time. But this story ain't really about me, though. It's about a little coffee shop I stumbled on. Not long ago, but long enough that it still lingers in my mind, like a song you only half remember. It was called Annie's Place. Not a flashy joint. It had on a flickering neon sign, in cursive script, a bell on the door that gave a pleasant ding when you entered, and those old-fashioned red leather boots that creaked when you sat down. The floor was checkered linoleum, black and white, scuffed from decades of shoes, stories, and maybe even a few secrets. I hadn't planned to stop there. Just passing through a small town in Pennsylvania. Never caught the name. And that's the thing. I can't find it on a map now, no matter how hard I try. I needed a break from driving. Saw the sign, and something about it tugged at me like a memory. Inside, there was a woman behind the counter. Probably late stays, hair in a tight silver bun, glasses on a chain around her neck. She looked up, smiled like she'd been waiting for me. "Coffee?" she asked. "Always," I replied. She poured it without asking how I take it. Black, just the way I like it. And when I sipped it, something happened. It wasn't just good coffee. It was familiar. Not in a Starbucks or diner way, no. It tasted like Sunday mornings in 1980s. It tasted like sitting with my dad at Tony's Café. After church, both of us in suits, his hand rough from work. Mine still small enough to wrap around a sugar packet and marvel at the feel of it. It was like the past in a cup. And just like that, memories came flooding in. Some I hadn't thought about in years. My first job, sweeping floors at McKinley's drugstore. The way Judy Carter used to twirl her hair when she left. The sound of my mother humming Patsy Cline in the kitchen. All of it. I looked around. The place was busy, really busy, for a small-town shop, but not in a noisy way. Everyone seemed to know each other. Folks reading papers, playing chess, laughing gently. A man in a veteran's cap reading Field and Stream. Two older ladies whispering and giggling like schoolgirls. And none of them looked surprised to see me. In fact, they nodded, like I'd been coming there for years. That was when I started to wonder, what was this place? I sat there, sipping that perfect cup of coffee, feeling like I was wrapped in an old quilt, stitched from every memory I'd ever loved. You know that feeling, like slipping into your favorite chair after a long day? That was Annie's Place. The woman behind the counter came over with a plate of warm apple pie. "I didn't order this," I said. "You always liked it warm, with a touch of cinnamon," she replied, then winked and walked away. That gave me pause. Always liked it. How did she know? I took a bite anyway, and Lord, it tasted just like my grandma's pie. Not kind of like it. Exactly like it. Down to the flaky crust, and the way the apples were soft, but never mushy. For a second I could smell my grandma's old farm kitchen. The wood stove, the sweet scent of apples in the air. The hum of the screen door in the wind. I looked around again. That man in the corner. He looked like Mr. Dempsey, my old high school shop teacher. The guy had the same square jaw, same suspenders, and was sipping coffee like he had nowhere to be, but Mr. Dempsey had passed away in '92. And then I heard someone laugh. A low, friendly chuckle from a table near the jukebox. It was a sound I knew by heart. Joe. My old mailroom buddy from back in my post office days. We'd worked together for 3 years. He was wearing the same flannel he always wore in winter, even though it was spring outside. "Joe," I said, almost choking on my coffee. He looked up, grinned. "Walt, took you long enough to find this place?" I just stared. "Joe, you've been gone since 2007. He shrugged. Time's funny around here." Before I could ask more, the bell over the door chimed, and in walked someone I thought I'd never see again. Judy Carter. Still had that same smile, the same sparkle in her eye. Her hair was streaked with silver now, but I'd have known her anywhere. She gave me a soft wave and went to sit by the window where the sunlight poured in like honey. That's when it hit me. This wasn't just any coffee shop. It was a place built out of memory, stitched from pieces of time, filled with people we carry with us even when they're long gone. A coffee shop that only appears when your heart is quiet enough to hear the past calling you back for one last cup. But what was it doing here, now? "Why is it?" Joe leaned over. "You've got questions, I know. Everyone does their first time." "My first time?" I asked. He chuckled again. "You didn't think this was a regular stop, did you?" I looked around, and for the first time, I noticed something strange. There were no clocks on the walls, no receipts at the register, no noise from outside. Just coffee, laughter, and the distant hum of an old jukebox playing tunes from a time when cars had tail fins and radios had tubes. Joe leaned back in his chair, folding his hands over his belly, like he'd just finished Thanksgiving dinner. "Places like this," he began, "they don't show up for just anyone. You gotta be the kind who remembers, the kind who misses things, who still carries folks in their chest even when the world says it's time to let 'em go." I looked around again. Everything felt so right, but in that too good to be true sort of way, like a dream you don't want to wake from. The jukebox crackled and switched songs. I heard the first soft chords of Unchained Melody, and suddenly I was 22 again, slow dancing in the rain behind the bowling alley with Judy Carter. I could even smell her lavender perfume, faint and sweet as springtime. "How is this happening?" I asked. Joe shrugged. "You ever ask how the smell of cookies can drag you straight back to your mom's kitchen? Or how one line of a song can bring back your whole senior year?" I didn't answer, because I knew what he meant. You didn't question it. You just let it wash over you. "It's not magic, Walt," he continued. "It's memory. Real strong memory. Most folks walk through life forgetting as they go, but not you. You kept things, held on to the people, the smells, the sounds. You treated the past like a quilt, not a burden. That's why you found us." I felt something stir deep in my chest. Not sadness, not exactly. More like a kind of gratitude. The kind you feel when you hear your favorite old song by accident on the radio, and it stops you in your tracks. "So, what is this place then?" I asked again. Joe smiled. "It's a stop, a pause, a little rest area between where you've been and where you're going." "Where am I going?" He sipped his coffee. "That's not for me to say." I looked down into my cup, still warm, still full, still the best damn coffee I'd ever had. Just then, the woman from behind the counter, Annie, I guess, walked over. She placed a hand on my shoulder. "Walter," she said gently, "when you're ready, the door's still open. No rush. You can stay as long as you need." And somehow I knew what she meant. When you're ready. This was a place that gave you time. Time to remember. Time to laugh. Maybe even time to say goodbye. I sat back and listened to the quiet murmur of old voice, the gentle clink of spoons on saucers, and the low hum of the jukebox spinning another tune from a simpler world. And for the first time in a long, long while, I didn't feel alone. I don't know how long I stayed in Annie's place. There was no rush. Time didn't work the same there. It stretched like an old rocking chair's creak. Slow, steady, familiar. I talked with Joe some more, and even sat with Judy by the window for a while. We didn't need many words. Just sitting there in the light, watching dust dance through sunbeams, was enough. Other folks came and went. Faces I hadn't seen in decades. Cousins, neighbors, a coach from Little League. Even my dog Rusty, lying under a table, thumping his tail when I passed. I swear to you, I nearly wept to seeing him again. Annie kept pouring coffee like time itself was in the pot. And with each sip, I felt something lift. Something heavy I didn't even realize I'd been carrying. Guilt, maybe. Regret. All the things left unsaid to the people who shaped me, held me, left me. But here, those things softened, faded like fog in morning light. Then one moment, not loud or dramatic, just a quiet shift in the room. I looked down at my cup. For the first time, it was empty. Joe noticed. "Looks like it's time, Walt." I nodded. No panic, no fear, just a sense that something good had happened, and I'd been lucky enough to be there for it. Annie met me at the door. She smiled the way someone does when they know you'll be okay. "Can I come back?" I asked. She touched my arm. "Maybe not here, but you'll carry it with you. Every time you remember someone with love, every time a smell or a song or a piece of pie takes you back, that's how places like this live on." I turned the doorknob. A soft jingle from the bell above the door, and then sunlight. Fresh air. I was back in my cot, still parked on the side of that old road. Engine cool. Radio off. I looked in the rearview mirror. No sign of a coffee shop. Just trees, quiet and green. But I could still taste the coffee on my tongue, still feel the warmth in my chest. And in that moment, I realized something simple and true. The people we've loved, the places we've been, they're never really gone. They live in the coffee shops of our memory. And sometimes, if your heart is open, you'll find yourself back there, even if just for one last cup.